Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be doing the eyeshadow palette collection tag. This one was, I think, the most challenging makeup tag I've ever done. This was difficult, okay, to pick my answers. I've been sitting in this room for the past 2 hours being like, but am I sure that that's what I want to say? But I finally made up my mind, so here we go. If you guys are excited for the video, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up before you leave. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here. I am eyeshadow palette obsessed. My name is Patty. It's like, hi, I'm Patty, I have a problem. So if you also have a palette problem, don't forget to subscribe before you leave. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and get started with these very challenging questions. I saw this video by the beautiful Mel Thompson. If you guys are not following Mel Thompson, she is one of my favorite content creators. I always watch her videos, love them. So of course I will leave her video and her channel linked down below. And the original creator of this tag is Angelica Lirmar. I probably said that wrong and I apologize, but I'm going to of course leave her video and her channel down below as well. These questions were so difficult for me to answer for some reason, and I think I'm going to change the order of one of them just because I want to probably answer it last and it's not listed last right here, but here we go. By the way, I think it would be very fun if you guys answered these questions with me, so leave me your palettes down below in the comment section that you would pick for the questions. Question number 1, if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents me color story wise, which one would it be? Before I tell you which palette I picked, I'll tell you how I would describe me. I think I'm on the conservative side as far as like wardrobe and makeup and all of that. Like, I can challenge myself to do very colorful things, but it is not my comfort zone. My comfort zone definitely lies within the neutral, natural looks. I do like a pop of color here and there, especially if it's done very elegantly. And I love glitzy glam. I love shimmer and glitter and just shiny things. I love shiny things. I feel like it kind of is the same with like my wardrobe or accessories. I don't ever wear jewelry that is too loud or colorful, but I do love having a little bit of like a dainty bling, right? And as far as clothing is concerned, I like to stay within the colors that I don't really have to think about whether they match with something else, because for the most part they all do. Like neutral, muted shades, jeans, white, black, nude, gray, those kinds of colors, right? So here's the palette that I picked. I picked the Gold palette by Natasha Denona. I feel like this one, color story wise, represents me because it is a neutral palette, really nice and kind of boring, but it has a couple of pops of color, and they're like these nice deep teal shades that I find very elegant and that goes so well with the rest of the palette. And then it's got a lot of glitz and glam. It is super shimmery, super glittery. I feel like this color story right here really attracts me. It just aligns with my favorite makeup to wear, my comfort zone, where my most favorite looks come from. I just love really glittery things. Like a pop of color is nice. Like what I'm wearing today. This is a Pat McGrath palette that I'm wearing, Mothership number 2, and it is like a nice neutral dark smoky eye with a pop of color that looks really nice and elegant, and it is very glitzy, right? So I feel like that is where I am as far as eyeshadow palette, and that is why the Gold palette from Natasha Denona I feel represents me. Question number 2, if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents me packaging wise, which one would it be? I thought long and hard about this one. Now in this one it says packaging, so I don't know if they refer to the box that the palette came in or the exterior packaging of the palette. So I picked this one and I'll tell you why in a second, and I feel like both things apply. So the palette I picked was Mothership number 8, which is this one right here. Now this box is beautiful, it's glamorous, it's monochromatic, it's rose, and it's got lots of like gold shiny details, so this one kind of applies, right? But then also the palette that I have for Mothership number 8 has this exterior packaging right here, which is her rose gold reflective sturdy packaging, and I love rose gold. All of like these earrings right here are rose gold, my little chain is rose gold. It's my favorite metal to wear. I feel like it complements my skin really nice. It looks good. And this is a rose gold exterior packaging in this palette. It is very elegant, very shiny, and I just absolutely love how this one looks on the outside. I obviously love the inside too, but this is not what this question is about, right? So exterior packaging wise, I absolutely love this palette right here. And then if we're talking about the box, I feel like this one also applies because I mean, it's just so nice and blingy and not colorful loud. Like it doesn't have super bright blues or greens or like oranges, things like that, you know? Question number 3 is if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents spring. Now for this question, I immediately thought of this one. I knew exactly which palette I wanted to show you, which didn't happen with any other question. So my palette that represents spring is definitely Huda Beauty Mercury Retrograde. This is my favorite Huda Beauty palette, and I think it's got really beautiful pastel shades. It's not too colorful, not overwhelming. It has a beautiful color story with lots of very nice duochrome, shimmer, foiled shades that just shine like crazy. And because this palette, except for like this one shade down here, doesn't have any very dark intense eyeshadows, it is a really nice light color palette that in my opinion represents spring. Love this one. Best palette Huda Beauty has ever made. Question number 4 is the one that had me thinking for like over an hour, and I ended up not really being able to answer it, but I am going to answer it. I'm just going to leave it to the end of the video. So question number 4 is if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents happy, right? So let's leave that question hanging for the end of the video and I'll tell you which palette makes me the happiest, right? But we'll move on to question number 5 right now. And question number 5 is if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents the dark and grungy in me. And I immediately thought of this one because this is the one very dark palette that I always think about using and wearing, and I am obsessed with the color story, and I think it's so sexy and sultry. So my answer for that question, the palette that makes me feel dark and grungy, Subliminal Mothership No. 1 by Pat McGrath. I had a very hard time, if you couldn't tell by now, not making Pat McGrath the answer for every single one of these questions. It was very difficult. So this is the inside of the Subliminal palette, and as you can see, it has very dark grungy shades. It has this color Extreme Black right here that just makes everything so dark and deep. And then even the Astro Blitz shades in this one, these two up here, have really nice shine to them, but they're not super colorful. And then I feel really dark and grungy whenever I wear this beautiful stunning blue right here on my eyelids, especially combined with the black shade right here. So pretty. I don't think I have any other palette in my collection that makes me feel grungy, and this one certainly does. I feel like even with that blue shade, it's just perfection. The one shade that doesn't apply would be the like happy yellow shimmer right there, but I don't even remember that shade is in this palette. When I think about this palette, in my mind it's all like cool tone, dark, very beautiful sparkles, and that blue, right? So this is the answer. The Subliminal palette, Mothership No. 1, is definitely one of my top Pat McGrath palettes in my collection. I love it. Moving on to question number 6, if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents the girly in me. And this one was easy. By the way, when I was picking these palettes out, I went and looked back at like my thumbnails for all of my 5 looks 1 palette videos that I've done on my channel, and from like the looks that I can get with the palettes, I kind of got the answers. So these are the looks that I can get with the Mothership No. 7 palette, and as you can see, they're all very soft and girly and sparkly and pink. So I think this is the perfect answer for this question. I also have the limited edition packaging, which is the girliest thing I have ever seen, and I am obsessed with it. But yeah, this palette I think represents the girly in me. Again, from the looks, you can see that this is a very feminine, fun palette. Nothing too over the top. I love the mauvey, pinky shades, and this color right here has the most beautiful, like, pinky undertone to it. I also love the sparkle that this one has. So pretty. These are all the like pinky girly shades in the palette. I absolutely love it. Even this one here with the rose gold. Again, Pat McGrath palettes just get me. I was thinking, besides this one, maybe pick a palette that has a lot of vibrant pink shades, like that's girly, right? But I feel like when I wear a palette that has a lot of vibrant colors, even if it is a pink vibrant palette, I don't necessarily feel girly. I sometimes feel just a little too youthful and like it's not age appropriate, and this one is very elegant and soft and just still very girly, but in a very elegant sort of way. I hope that makes sense. Again, I have a love affair with Pat McGrath palettes, so yeah. Let's move on to question number 7. So question number 7 is if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents fun. And I did not pick Pat McGrath for that one, okay? So I was looking through my collection and I was like, okay, so which one is like a fun palette? And I picked something that is new and fun and that I know I will get a really pretty look that I feel comfortable with every time I use it. And that is the new ABH Norvina Volume 5 palette. This one is packed full of purple and burgundy shades, which I find very flattering. And I think purple, especially like the light purples up here, is one of those colors that don't make me feel childish if I wear them. Like, I still feel nice and elegant. I feel like it matches a lot. It's one of the few pops of color that I feel very confident wearing, mainly because it probably makes my eyes pop. So it's a color that is flattering on my skin with my eye color. But yeah, I think this palette represents fun. It also is fun that it has such a big variety of shades. It's a nice big palette with lots of choices, which I find very fun, because you can always combine your colors slightly differently to get a different result, right? So you'll probably get something a little unexpected every time you wear it, even if it doesn't have that much color variety in it. I think this one is nice and fun. I'm definitely very happy that I picked it up and that I have it in my collection now, because I've loved all of the looks that I've been able to create with this one. Okay, so the last question is if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents inspiration. And this one I'm about to show you, I have not even used yet, but I am extremely inspired by it and I am extremely excited to use it. And I feel like it's a palette that is really going to take me out of my comfort zone, but that I am going to love every look that I create with it regardless. And maybe I find it the most inspiring precisely because I haven't used it yet, right? But anyways, you guys will see what I'm talking about in a second. It is the new Glamlight and Michaela collaboration palette. If this palette isn't inspiring, I'm not sure what is. So here's one of the main things I love about this palette. These two rows right up here, that is a neutral palette through and through, right? It has nice cool tone shades, transition colors, a really nice variety of like gold peachy tones, a couple of colors that are more neutral and dark. And then besides those colors that we all feel very comfortable in, it has this amazing color story that has pinks and purples and blues and greens and yellow and teal and like all of the colors that you can possibly want to just make your eye pop a little bit, right? Now I know I talked about liking more elegant, age-appropriate types of palettes, but whenever I look at this palette, I don't see myself creating looks that are like extremely colorful to the point where I'm not going to want to wear it outside. I feel like I can use these colors in a way that will be inspiring and fun, yet it's not going to be childish, if that makes sense. But again, I haven't played with it yet. I am very inspired by it at the moment, and we'll see what looks I can come up with once I actually get to testing it out, you know? Let me know what you guys think about that. I don't know. I'm very excited that I got this palette. I just received it in the mail today, and all I've done is like swatch a few shades, but I just cannot wait to put it on my eyeballs, really. I think she did a really wonderful collab. Now we of course have to go back to the question that I put on hold earlier, and the question was if I picked an eyeshadow palette in my collection that represents happy and joy. And honestly, the reason that I couldn't answer that question is because I just can't pick one eyeshadow palette that represents happy and joy. Most of the eyeshadow palettes in my collection give me a lot of happiness. Eyeshadow palettes just like are my thing. I love eyeshadow palettes. I love playing in them. I love being creative with them. I love the different formulas and textures and like the looks that I can come up with. All of them. I don't really even care. Like, so sometimes I have palettes in my collection that look a lot like each other, right? But it's not about that for me. I like the color story, the special shade that each palette brings to the mixture, and the way that I can get inspired by one palette without having to dig into like anything else. I think that's one of the reasons I do a lot of 5 looks 1 palette videos, because I like to see a lot of possible different looks that I can have with just like a limited amount of shades that come in the color story of one palette. Anyway, so because I couldn't just pick one, I picked the palettes that make me the happiest. And you know it's Pat McGrath, right? So these are all of my Mothership palettes. These are definitely the palettes that make me the happiest in my collection. That is the reason that I, to this day, I'm still continuing to add Mothership palettes to my collection, because every time I get one, I just cannot wait to use it and play with it and share my love and share the different looks that I can create with you guys. And these formulas are incredible. Her shimmers, her Astro Blitz shades are the best, right? Now I know that these palettes are very expensive. They retail for $125 usually, but I feel like Pat McGrath is always running a sale. Like currently, right now, she's still running a 25% off sale the day that I'm filming this video. So you can always get these palettes for less than $100, which is very exciting, right? To not have to pay $125 for them. She hasn't come up with a big Mothership palette in over a year, and I'm wondering what the next one will be and when it will come out. I am wearing one of these today. I'm wearing the newest one in my collection because I was doing a 5 looks 1 palette with it, and that is the Subliminal palette right here. I feel like my look looks very Slytherin, right? These are the palettes that make me the happiest in my collection. I couldn't just pick one because I love them all. If somebody came and told me you can only keep one brand of eyeshadow palettes in your collection and use it for the rest of your life and you can never touch anything else but that, I would pick my Pat McGrath palettes. Hands down. That is how strongly I feel about them. You guys don't see me going back and purchasing old palettes from any other brand, and that is because I discovered Pat McGrath a little bit late and I am so excited about her formulas and her color stories that I just need to experience it all. And I am only 2 palettes away from completing my Mothership collection. I have 6 palettes at the moment. I need palettes 3 and 4 next. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video. I had a very hard / fun time coming up with the answers, and I am very sorry if this looks like it's like a Pat McGrath sponsorship type of a thing, because it's not. I don't get PR from Pat McGrath. I have never been sponsored by Pat McGrath. I have spent my hard-earned money on every single one of these, and I feel confident in recommending them if you like glitzy, glamorous, sophisticated types of looks. I absolutely love these palettes. They are not your everyday palette. You're not going to get everyday wearable looks with them, but to me they're very special because they're so fun to use. They truly just make me happy, and that's why I picked them all as my answer to that question. Anyways, I hope this video was fun to watch. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel before you leave. I love you guys so much. Let me know what your answers are down in the comment section, and I hope to see you back in the next video. Mwah. Bye!